Touchdown Tampa Bay. You're listening to the PewterCast.
Welcome to the PewterCast. I am Brent Allen, your host, joined as always by my good friend Ren, looking good in the light over there, Dax. Ren, how's it going, my friend?
It's going well. Better than the Rays are going.
Better than the Rays are going, absolutely, right now. Yeah, we were just checking that out. As we record this, the Rays are playing the Astros. It's game 5, I think it is right now.
6.
This is game 6.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really already game 6? Holy cow. So, you know, if people aren't watching the live version of this, that's okay. We understand. We're kind of keeping an eye on it ourselves over there. But
we might get flooded from frustrated fans.
that's possible too.
I'm not watching this anymore.
Well, we'll take this as a segue just to remind everybody that, hey, this is our Buck in the News show. And while you can certainly listen to this on the podcast feed, as so many thousands of you guys will out there, you can actually also watch us do this live. This is not a call-in show. We're not going to be opening up the phone lines or anything like that. But you are certainly welcome to come over and check us out and watch us as we record the show and maybe catch some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that may or may not get cut out of the podcast, get the full rants and everything that we have. That being said, Ren, it's we've had a break this past week and a half, you know, with the Thursday night game and everything.
Yep.
I like being in a more regular schedule. I got to tell you, as we come into this. So glad to get back in. This is our Buck in the News show, folks out there. In case you're new to the show, we've got a lot of new listeners this week. We had a lot of people come over and check us out. And so I want to say hello and thank you to all of you guys who have come to hang out with us. I want to say hello to everybody who has joined us, who is joining us currently live right now. But this is our Buck in the News show. The way this works is basically we've waited till the end of the work week for the Buccaneers. So that it's done. All the things that they've done is out. The headlines are done.
It's a full lid.
Yeah. It's what?
It's a full lid.
A full lid. I've never heard that before. What is that?
Well, you must not watch West Wing. I think I'm on my 3rd trip through West Wing right now.
I have never watched West Wing.
You should watch West Wing. You'll like West. You will like the West.
You think
Wing.
I would like it?
Yeah. And this is like my 3rd time through because they all just got together and recorded another episode, but in a theater play style. And then they shot it with cameras and they just released it as a new episode, like 15. Everyone's like 15 years later.
Oh, really?
It just came out, I think, on HBO Max or Apple, one of those two.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. But yeah, the West Wing, it's a great show. Plus, it's one that's like 7 seasons, 9 seasons, in like 22 episodes a season, not just 13 crap or 6 crap from HBO.
Right.
Yeah, it's a fun show to watch. It's good.
Right.
Anyway,
a full stuff about it.
A full lid is the press secretary is what she tells the press corps when they can go home because there'll be no more news for the day.
Gotcha. All right. So yes, we are at a full lid. There is no more news. And this is now our time to talk about it. We've got the whole cycle. There's nothing left for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to do this week except for play the game. And the way we do that, we'll take a look at the roster moves the Buccaneers have made. We'll take a look at any headlines that may have come out, maybe even some headlines that shouldn't have been headlines. We've had a few of those this year.
Oh, yeah.
We'll take a look at the injury report as we really begin to look at this Green Bay game with a more critical eye. We'll also take a look and we'll talk about what we're looking forward to in this game, Ren. And we'll close the show out like we do, like we've been doing all season long with our predictive MVPs for the game. So with that, why don't we go ahead and we'll jump right up at the very top of the list. We'll talk about roster moves. The Buccaneers had a slurry of roster moves all in one day, that was it.
A slurry.
A slurry. A flurry?
I would say flurry, but
a flurry.
I am no wordsmith, that is for sure. Anything like above 2 syllables, I start to struggle.
Right. I don't know. I'm having something that may make me a little slurry tonight, so we'll find out. Anyway, roster moves. They all came in on like Monday or something like that. Ren's like, what?
Well, I let that on slide, but what the hell? Like, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to bring it up because I don't even like move on. Like
You're talking about not talking about it.
I am
Just pointing that out.
But I was not going to say anything, but you pointed it out because
I'm trying to get to roster moves. I'm just trying to get to roster moves. That's all I want to do.
Okay.
All right. On Monday,
ahead.
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers released Zach Shackelford, center from the practice squad.
Right.
He's gone. And what?
Guy to Texas.
Yep. So he is gone. They also placed Vita Vea and Jack Sitchie on injured reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I was not able to find something. I should have corroborated this before the show. Vita Vea is on like the big injured reserve. Like he's done. He's done.
Yeah.
Jack Sitchie's not. He's on that like short-term injured reserve list, right?
Yeah. Yes. The 3-week minimum.
Right. And none of this is COVID related. This is actually like football related. So we have that. Now, one of the other moves that they made this week was they waived cornerback Parnell Motley.
Yeah.
And we talked about that a little bit earlier in our show on Tuesday, Ren, but frankly, we haven't seen a ton out of Parnell Motley this year. I know he was kind of one of those underdogs in camp that we were cheering for, and he wound up making the squad.
Right. Yeah.
But now he's gone, and he got claimed off waivers by the 49ers. So he's gone. Unless he gets cut by them in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. You know, he was God, I want to say Texas A&M, but it wasn't. Was it Texas? Was that Oklahoma?
Okay.
Yeah. He played for Oklahoma. And as soon as they got him, there was a lot of people like, oh, this guy had a draftable grade. Like he should have got drafted. Like watch out for him. And then he would making splash plays in camp, coming up with interceptions. Sometimes, a few days in a row. And we said, oh, okay, like this guy's gonna make the team, and he did. And he was on the practice squad. And then they moved him up, I believe. Was he on the practice squad? Or did he make the team?
Oh, he made the 53.
He made the 53.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think he's been waived since then.
Okay.
Like he made the 53 and he's been on the 53 since the cut down.
Right. So I guess due to injuries, they had to move on from him. I'm sure they wanted him back on the practice squad, but also the 49ers, they've had a ton of injuries in the secondary, and obviously they liked him. So now good for Purnell. He's on another 53-man roster, has to stay there for at least 3 weeks. That's the deal when you're picked up off actually, no, that's not. That's for practice squad. So he can be cut at any time. But anyway, he's out of town. Right. He was a guy that a lot of Bucs fans
contract though. Like he went through waivers and they've taken over his contract. So you're right. They can waive him at any time.
Right.
But he would go through the waiver wire again is what he would do.
Right. Yeah. So, it may be not the last time we see Motley, but I know Bucs fans, including myself, were excited, sort of like, hey, at the beginning of the year, before we knew that that Winfield would come down and play the slot if there was an injury to a cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
We were hoping that Motley could be that fourth corner in front of Ryan Smith because we didn't want him anywhere near the defensive field.
Exactly.
Like you can run up and down on punts and kickoffs all you want, buddy. But yeah,
be that gunner, but
yeah,
don't step in on defense.
Yeah, don't step in on defense. So now he's gone. So it's a little bit of but we're talking about a guy who hopefully never was going to see the field at all.
Right. Well, speaking of guys who hopefully would never see the field, one of the things that makes this a little bit curious for me is they did sign cornerback Ross Cockrell from the. Now he's the guy who's gone back and forth from the practice squad. They've done that thing where they elevate him and then drop him down and elevate him and drop him down. But they actually signed him. And so they waived Parnell Motley to sign him.
Experience over youth.
Right. And so in Cockrell, he's not a rookie, right? He's been around, a while, right?
Yeah, he's bounced around.
Yeah.
Most recently from the Panthers, which isn't a good sign because if you can't, make the defensive backfield for the Panthers. Okay. But, I guess maybe obviously the Buccaneers think Jason Light and Todd Bowles think that he's a better fit for a Todd Bowles defense than he would be for a Panthers defense. Or what they're doing in Carolina right now. So, if push comes to shove, we talked about this a lot during the, I don't want to say the preseason, during training camp and coming up, that it was going to be hard for these undrafted free agents, rookies, even late round picks to make the roster because, the team got no film on them. Like, okay, here you are, but you're playing college guys. Okay. You're one of the best on the field every time you stepped out stepped out there on Saturday. With the veterans, they have them up against the best of the best in the world, and they know what they have. So Cockrell gets it over Motley.
Yes, he does. And joining him coming up from the practice squad, the Buccaneers signed to the active roster. This is not an elevation. They actually signed him to the active roster. Inside linebacker Chappie Russell.
Chappie. He's
bringing
back.
him on.
Deuce.
This was a Deuce. Oh, that's right. That's what we call him. We call him Deuce, not Chappie.
No, we call him Chappie.
We call him Chappie.
It's Chappelle Russell.
Right.
He wants to go by Deuce. We completely ignore his wishes.
Right.
And call him Chappie.
But this is another guy, a lot like Motley, we've had our eye on all throughout camp, and we've seen him kind of bounce back and forth a little bit, and he's now actually signed up on the active roster off the practice squad.
Yeah, he's taken Sitchy's spot.
Oh, fair. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then also with that, so to fill, we have now, for those keeping track out there, we have 3 open spots on the practice squad because of these moves. So the people that have been signed to fill that is wide receiver Travis Johnson, tight end Cody McElroy, who Bucs fans should be familiar with that name. Another inside linebacker to Gray Scales, and then a running back, bringing this guy back in, Cedric Ware.
Yep, Cedric Ware.
I'm not sure if we were supposed to pronounce those first 3 letters or not, but he is certainly the veteran. He was with the team last year.
He was with the team last year.
All last year, and then through the offseason this year.
He was a pretty early cut this year, though. They got rid of him quick. Like as soon as McCoy got here, he was out the door.
Right. Fair.
And then we got Fournette, and it was like, okay, see you, Dare. So he's familiar with the system, which is good. He's been at least parts of 2 years in the system, and he, until Fournette and McCoy and Keyshawn Vaughn all get healthy, that's what he's there for. So.
Right. So that it's quite a few moves. Like I said,
it is
less concerned about the practice squad guys, more about those guys that came up to the active roster, and then certainly the Sitchy and Vita going over to injured reserve. I looked up Scales because I liked his name. I'm like, what? I'm like, who's this guy? Okay.
And there's nothing, absolutely nothing. Like he has played for like 4 teams that have never got off the practice squad, and then I think he it was an XFL team. I'm not sure which one it was. Like maybe the DC Defenders. And that's where he played last. But he's been bouncing around for like 4 or 5 teams, from practice squad to practice squad, never being brought back, which in my mind is sort of a red flag. Like we keep bringing back to say like Ware's back, McElroy's back. I'm sure they would have loved to have Motley. When you see that, you kind of feel like these teams have plans for him. But it seems to me like the Scales guy is just a guy to fill in until you get your depth back.
Right.
And then he's off he goes again.
You have an open spot on the roster, and we need it for our scout team. So come play that spot.
Yeah, he's just good enough not to make the team.
Right. Which still means he's better than just about everybody else out there.
Yeah. He's better than, when is it like only 2% of college athletes or college.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. That factor blows my mind. All right. Just for the record, Buccaneers protecting this week, all those on the practice squad. Once again, kicker Greg Joseph. I think at this point, they're just going to protect him every single week, unless, knock on wood, something happens to suck up and they actually bring him up to kick. Like
I'm going to sign him on my fantasy team.
There you go. And then put him on your injured reserve spot and then call it good.
Can't.
They also protected Jeremiah Ledbetter, familiar name to Bucs fans. Benning Patoe, that guy. It looks like potato, but it's not pronounced that way.
No, it is not pronounced that way.
No.
He was a running mate with Villa at Washington, an interior defensive lineman, along with Ledbetter is also an interior defensive lineman. And the reason those guys were both protected was because Villa is gone, and Khalil Davis has an injury. So we may need those guys Sunday.
I don't want to say we know what's happening with the inside linebacker or the inside defensive lineman spot for this week. It's not where the team wants to be. So they will continue to try to bolster that position, I think, through the offseason as best they can without Vita being around. So that's it, Ren. That is all of our roster moves that we have. Let's move on to headlines.
Sure.
That we had. Got a handful this week. A little handful. Some more fun. Some more news. And some that I think we're actually going to have a really good conversation about. The first one I want to bring up, saw this one out there. More congratulations, I guess, on this one. Our own coach, Bruce Arians, receives the 2020 Champion for Equality Award that was delivered by Billie Jean King, the founder of the Women's Sports Foundation. This was an award, as I read, and I understand this is more for BA's work at including and promoting women in the workplace within sports. And certainly we know that BA has been very inclusive, both in race and gender around the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And not just BA, honestly, the Buccaneers organization, I think, has been one that has been leading the way in this for quite some time. So congratulations to BA. And I saw a tweet by Chris, his wife, who just said she was really proud of him over this matter.
Yeah, I think that's his 5th award of this type since he's been here.
Oh, really?
It's at least its 3rd.
Really?
At least, yeah. So now I see him, I'm just like, how many of these organizations are there? Like,
right. Yeah, I this is probably the 3rd or 4th time I've seen this name of Billie Jean King.
You don't know who
everybody seems to make a big deal out of it every time she shows up. I've honestly never heard about her until people started making a big deal about her meeting with BA last year and then this year.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess no. Well, there's age difference between us, I guess.
Yeah. Who is she?
Oh, you don't know anything about?
No, I know. I don't know who this lady is. People make a big deal, and I'm like, who is this lady?
Okay. She was a face of the feminist movement in the 70s. She was a professional tennis player, really good. Won a bunch of Grand Slam tournaments. And then there was this guy named Bobby Riggs, and I'm not exactly sure what his background was, but he was older than she was by a decade, maybe 2. But he went on the Carson show and talked about how, I could beat Billie Jean King in a tennis match. And she came out and said, no, you can't. And then they put on this huge spectacle. And I think it was in the Astrodome. And she kicked the crap out of him in straight sets, 6-1, 6-2.
Wow.
It was televised.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he came out on a throne being carried by, I don't know, it might have been women. it was the thing. And she was sort of the first, and I'm not going to go way back in history, but she was the first modern hero that I remember for the feminist movement in the United States. Okay. Now, there's been lots of women, Jonas Salk and scientists and investigative reporters that I know about. I don't remember their names, but have, taken steps in their field, but just sort of the core base of the feminist movement where men and women are equal or should be viewed as equal. That was it. It was oh yeah, well, you can beat me in tennis. Oh really? Okay. And she just mopped him up. That's who Billie Jean King is.
I can see how that's a big deal now. But you're right. That was definitely before my time, and I'm not super young, so I know a lot of our listeners are younger than even I am. So thank you for letting us know that, because it like I said, this is multiple times I've seen this person come up in connection with BA here over the last couple of years. So I've just went, I don't know this. So thank you for that. All right, moving on. Well, let's talk about BA. Right after receiving that award, BA goes in for a press conference. Now, I don't know that that's actually how this timeline worked out, but in one of his press conferences, they were asking BA about the dropped passes and the stats on that. And BA just sort of, he unleashes on it. He's like, I don't know who makes up these stats. Stats are for losers. And I don't see dropped passes out there.
These are not direct quotes.
No, they're not. This is me paraphrasing for what BA says. But I don't know if this qualifies as our headline that really shouldn't have been a headline, but BA, I mean, really? He's not seeing these dropped passes out there?
Well, he did say that other than one game, but no matter how you count what a drop pass is, if you're like, I don't really know, it's the old thing is if it touches your hand, you should catch it. Well, that's a bunch of crap. If Scotty Miller's, what is he 5'8", 5'9", and he runs a button hook, and Tom Brady fires it over his head, and Scotty Miller jumps as high as he can, and it goes right off, like just brushes the tip of his fingertips. He was supposed to catch that,
Right.
like, you know, and so it's sort of subjective what's called a catch is not, but by any measure, the Bucs are leading in the league. So, and it's from NFL.com. So, this is also the guy that said Cyril Grayson has good hands.
Meaning BA or the guy from NFL.com?
BA.
BA. There you go.
So,
well,
he just didn't. I don't know. You know, sometimes he's just not going to have it. Sometimes he's just like that. You know,
right?
Kind of like. So, why did you take a penalty in the trying to get a field goal? Oh well, you know, you want to back up 5 yards. It's easier to make it.
It's easier to make it 5 yards further back.
Right? No, it's not.
Oh my gosh. You know, and that's one of those things, like, he would almost look like a genius if it actually worked. Didn't actually work though. So now you look like
he would not look like a genius.
Anyway. All right. So moving on from that.
Anyway.
Yeah, moving on from that. Report this week in an effort to fill the Vita Vea hole, and that is a big hole that is left on that defensive line. Jason Light and the Buccaneers have reached out to Snacks Harrison.
Right.
However, rather than going to an active roster spot, Snacks Harrison decides to stay on the practice squad in Seattle, a la sort of what Josh Rosen's doing for us, I guess.
Well, he had just gotten there.
Right.
So he was a free agent, and he signed with Seattle, and then Vea got hurt. And he signed with Seattle's practice squad because basically he's on the practice squad to get in football shape. It's not like he's staying there. But instead of eating up a roster spot, Seattle's keep him on the practice squad. And then the Bucs said, hey, you know, we need you. You don't have to get in football shape if you don't want to. You
can play in the shape you're in right now.
Just roll towards the quarterback, snacky snacks. But yeah, he said no. He's like, no, I like where I am. And I'm gonna stay, which is something that, you know, like Snacks wouldn't even be eligible for the practice squad except for this year.
Right.
So it's just something, you know, as fans, you're not used to seeing, where it's like, hey, you want to come play for an NFL roster? No, I'm good making $8,000 a week. Like, you can come over here for 3 weeks minimum and make $56,000 a week.
Right.
No, I'm good. These guys really
I'll
like
trade
me.
$24,000 for $150,000.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. Even with having the career that, you know, these guys have and banking up what they have, I'd have a hard time with that. I really would.
Well, it's all about how much, you know, it is, like you said, it's all about how much money you have. And
it is.
You know, it really is. Because I remember, God, I think I was in high school. I ever tell you the Bill Gates story, the reporter in the ranch?
You have told me, but you have not told our listeners. And now that you've said it, you've got to say it. So go ahead.
Okay. This was back like in high school when Microsoft first hit it big, and Bill Gates was Bill Gates, and he wasn't quite as rich as he is now, but he was very, very rich. And he bought this big ranch in Montana, and he paid over market value, whatever that was. We'll say like it was worth, you know, $3.2 million, and he paid like $8.4 million. And the reporter started, you know, ribbing him and going, oh, great businessman. Oh, paid like 3 times, you know, the going rate. And Bill Gates looked at him and he goes, that's like couch change to me. And then he just told the guy, he's like, I set this guy up for life, him and his family, for generations. You know, I'm doing this guy a favor. I'm being a nice guy, and you're sitting here calling me a dum-dum. You know, like that couple of $1 million is going to mean a lot more to that guy than it does to me.
Right.
And that's kind of what it is with Snacks. You know, for you and me, like $24,000, like that's, you know, I'll take it. Like
sure.
$150,000. Oh yeah, I'll definitely take that. What do you have to do? Oh, I have to move for 3 weeks? Yes. Like
I'll go sleep in a hotel. It'll be fine.
I'll sleep in my car. Like for 3 weeks, I'll sleep in my car for 3 weeks for $150,000. Yeah. So, you know, it's all about, you know, what you got.
apparently, just so you guys know, this is the Buccaneers are not the only team that has reached out to him, and they are not the only team he has rebuffed.
Oh, thank God. I was really worried.
But one of those teams that did reach out to him was the Green Bay Packers, who the Tampa Bay Buccaneers obviously are facing tomorrow.
Right.
Sunday, whatever. When you guys are listening to this, it'll be tomorrow. So,
unless you're listening to it now.
Right. Which, hello to everybody who is listening to it now. Let's see here. Hey, Ren, we finally got an update on a guy named Justin Evans.
Oh, yes. Did
you hear about this?
I did.
Yes.
I watched it live.
For those who are not watching the video podcast, I am putting the word update in air quotes. Now, earlier I did a paraphrase. Today, I would like to, in this particular case, I would like to quote BA.
Okay.
We think he's getting better. He hasn't done any. Well, he's running a little bit. That's it.
Didn't he say something about it being tricky?
He said it's funny. He said Justin Evans' injury is funny. He's like, it's a funny one. We think he's getting better. We think he's getting better. He hasn't done any. Well, he started running a little bit.
And there's your update, folks.
That's the update, guys. So for everybody out there who continues to ask about Justin Evans, that's it.
Which no one does anymore. No one cares anymore. Now that
because as soon as they can let him go, they're probably going to cut him, right?
I don't know. I think they'd like to keep him around, and as long as it's not messing up the cap, they're fine with it. But you might be right. It's just one of those things where they have just to wait till he's not injured and then cut him. But no one cares anymore because Winfield came out, was having a great rookie year. Yeah. So, and Whitehead's doing good enough, but
let me ask you this.
That could change by the end of the year.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
So we've got Winfield. There's Whitehead. There's Mike Edwards. Andrew, and all the other guys. If Justin Evans could come back to the health and the play that he gave us before he got injured,
right?
Who would you rather have playing opposite of Antoine Winfield? Would it be Justin Evans, or do you like one of these other guys better at this point?
Gosh,
keeping in mind Justin Evans has been out of football since October 2018.
Yeah, but I can't quantify that, so I'm just going to act like he's exactly what he was when he left.
Okay.
Here's the thing, and this is gonna burn a light bulb, and you're gonna go ding. When Justin Evans looks up and back for the ball, he gets completely lost, and it used to drive me crazy. Remember, I used to say he looked like he's stepping in post holes.
Yep.
Like he would get spun around, and all you have to do is put the ball on a rainbow arc, and he gets vertigo.
Right.
But that's the thing that bothers me about Whitehead is that how he just lets guys blow by him in deep coverage. So, I think Whitehead's a better tackler.
Yeah.
But I think that Evans is better sideline to sideline. I think Evans is a better overall cover safety. And I think I would go with Evans. But it'd be real close, man. It'd be real close. Like I would feel much better having a preseason and just have those guys battle it out, and whoever came up, the winner would be fine with me.
I find it interesting that the name there is not Mike Edwards, and obviously not because he's not playing right now. But it just, man, I wanted more out of Mike Edwards. I really did.
Yeah, well, apparently his problem is he can't tackle, and that seems to be, the safety coach came out and said it in a presser. He's like, well, he needs to learn to tackle. I'm like, what? Like he needs to learn to tackle. Like,
isn't that your job, coach, to learn him?
Or how are you a professional football player being drafted in the 3rd round and don't know how to tackle?
Ren, I have been asking that about our safeties for the last, it seems like 5 years. I gotta be honest. So
I never had a major problem with the way they tackled.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh man. I remember one game specifically. It was a Saints game, Alvin Kamara's rookie year.
Oh God.
And he slipped through like 6 defenders' hands. And I was like, who is not tackling here?
And every time somebody would grab him, the whole team would stop and watch. Yeah, I remember that. I went livid on that. Yeah.
Do you know who I have that problem with right now? The 8-year-olds that play on my son's baseball team. And I have to keep yelling at them, don't stop the play. That's an 8-year-old problem, not a professional level problem.
Yeah, that was really bad. Like, I think I watched Gerald McCoy start and go 4 different times on that play. Like, what? Oh,
Right.
what?
Right.
And of course, Quan missed a tackle. I think he missed it twice.
Well, at least we know where Donovan Smith got it from. Oh,
What?
yeah, I know. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
Hey, let's do a little bit of non-Bucs news, just because this one makes me happy.
All right.
The Saints.
Uh-huh.
Michael Thomas has been out for the last bunch of weeks.
Yep.
He gets better. He's supposed to be back.
Uh-huh.
But then he goes and does some stupid stuff, and he gets benched for the game.
Yep.
Yes. Just makes me happy.
All right.
No news. My note actually next to it is blah ha 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 ha.
Note. Yeah. Screw Michael Thomas.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I still think that Carlton Davis needs to change his Twitter handle to Can Guard Mike.
Yeah, the thing about Thomas is that everybody in the league, other fans in the league, every other fan league besides Saints fans are kind of like, this guy's kind of a jerk, you know? It's like, this guy, like what is he doing? And now it's starting to come out that his own team thinks he's a jerk. Like the organization, not necessarily the teammates, but the organization are like, this guy is just kind of a doofus. We don't like him at all. So, I mean, it was karma when he ended up getting, you know, his foot rolled up on anyway when the Saints tried to score, you know, up by 2 scores late under 2 minutes against the Buccaneers, and he hasn't played since then. And, you know, it's just, okay, he's a jerk. That's fine. Not shocked.
Right. Now, if that could only happen to Cam Jordan. I don't want him injured, just bench him. Anyway, moving on.
Sure.
Speaking of wide receivers, let's talk about Mike Evans.
Uh-huh.
And this one I specifically want to discuss, considering your comment, Ren, on our last show, where I had said, you know, Mike Evans kind of been playing with his hamstring injury, and, you know, it never seems like, and you just said that's BS.
I said I don't buy it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go as far and say the training staff is a bunch of liars or the coach is about, you lie, they're hiding something.
Right.
Check his emails.
Right. But I did find this comment from Mike fairly interesting, discussing what it is to be dealing with these injuries. And also, as it relates to one of the things we've seen throughout the course of the season so far, is how Mike and Tom Brady have very rarely ever seemed on the same page. And at times they have been glaringly on different pages, and their timing is in nowhere near synced up, or they're like one's going this way, the other's going that way with the ball. But this is what Mike said. He said, I'm a guy who likes to practice and get that repetition in. I'm a receiver, so I have to be in shape to get the timing down with the quarterbacks and get that look and get the feel for the games. Yeah. And remembering last week when he didn't practice, like, I don't think he practiced at all the week leading into that Thursday night game.
No, he did not.
Right. And knowing that he'd missed a handful of practices in the weeks before, I don't know what he's actually dealing with when he gets into play these games on Sunday. And frankly, I don't care, because he's playing. And if you're healthy enough to play, then you need to be playing at 100%.
Catch the ball.
Right. Catch the ball. But I do find it very interesting, the idea that he's had to miss several of these practices, or at least be limited in what he could do in these practices. And he's like, that's a part of him getting ready, which, okay, duh, right? Practice is where these guys get ready. I found it was a very interesting comment in light of everything that's been going on with Mike Evans this year.
I'm not sort of on your train of Brady and Mike have been, like, there's been this glaring issue of them not being on the same page. I mean, it happened a couple times early, like the Saints game where Mike kind of quit on a route. And then I think the next week it happened again, but maybe it was with Gronk, but Mike was sort of in the route. But I think since the Chargers game, I thought they were in lockstep for me. They just haven't gone to him a lot. I know late, if people feel like you do, some of the comments might say, what about that last pass against Chicago where he short hopped it to him?
Right.
When we're trying to go down to get the field goal. Okay. But he every other time he targeted him, I thought he was fine. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I kind of feel like you're trying to connect the disconnect that you feel is a problem between Mike and Brady to him not practicing. And I just don't see the disconnect.
That is exactly what I'm trying to connect.
Okay.
Connect the disconnect. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm trying, because look, we know Mike Evans is a great is a great wide receiver
And quarterback.
Yes, and cornerback as well. We also know that Tom Brady is a great quarterback. Might be the understatement of the NFL season. Why the two haven't been able to sync up? Because
why? What are you talking about? He's got like 5 touchdowns.
Right, and he has games where he has like 2 yards
because they don't throw to him. That's not his fault. How is not if he doesn't throw him the ball? How are they not like? How does that mean they're not in sync?
That is a fair argument, and it may not. But I got to tell you, from my side, it seems like, well, why is he not throwing the ball? Because he's not in the spot where he's supposed to be. So Tom Brady moves on in his,
or he's getting doubled. I mean, we've seen this since Mike's been, or he's getting clouded. I mean, we were told many a times that the defense tells the offense where the ball goes, and Tom's going to find the open guy and throw it to him.
That's
we heard
fair.
we heard that at nauseum.
All of that's fair. Go ahead.
So the only thing you can do is that they're not in sync, is that he's missing him regularly when he throws to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I can think of like 3 times: Saints game, Chicago's game, and maybe the Chicago game twice, where Mike pushed everyone away, like he freaked out and started shoving everybody down.
Right. So what you're doing right now, though, is that's actually a different conversation from the one that I was just going into, because what I was trying to talk about was why this jumps out to me, because my perception, and frankly, a lot of Buccaneers fans' perception, is there is a disconnect. So here might be a reason why. But what you're saying is that perception is off.
Yes,
and I'm inclined to go with you on that. But that's why this particular quote jumps out to me, because to me, it has seemed that they've been off. But
I guess you'd have to ask the question, like, what was the question? Because now we don't have any context for what his answer is.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, I don't know what the question was to Mike when he made this statement. So
I mean, if the question was, you and Tom have been off a lot, not in sync, what do you attribute that to? And if Mike Evans agrees, well, then I should shut up.
Right.
But I don't know what the question was.
Right.
It might have been, hey, your numbers are down. Do you equate that to being injured and not getting reps? Well, yeah, I'm the type of guy that likes to get reps, so.
All right. Well, and so that'll be something we need to go check. But okay, let's have that conversation then, though. So what you're saying is, and I'm not being combative, I'm just trying to clarify.
I don't care.
Just because Mike's numbers are down, that does not mean, and I think this might be true, I think, for a lot of fans. X players' numbers are down, so that means there's a lack of chemistry, or there's a lack of connection, or there's somebody doesn't know the playbook, or like, why are those numbers coming down? Right. I think a lot of times as fans, we try to make that connection. What you're saying is that may not actually be why those numbers are down.
Yeah. I mean, and you may be right, but the next step is to take, like, look how many targets he's getting, and then compare it to last year, and then look at the completion rate. Like, what are the completion rate Brady to Evans, and what was it last year? And you can even do it for, after game 5. The yardage is going to be down, but how many more targets did he get through the first 5 weeks of last year? We forget that last year it was Godwin or Evans, and it was never both of them. One would eat and the other one would be a ghost. And that's how it went until they got injured. And then I think, Mike got one more week and then he got injured, and then it became Perryman and all the other guys. But remember, I think after week 1, Mike had something like 1 catch for 13 yards, and Godwin had like a touchdown, or maybe 2 and like 100 and something yards. And then the next week Mike ate, and the next week Godwin went twice, I believe, and then Mike went twice. So it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't feel that they're out of sync. And if you do, then go look at those stats and get back to me.
Well, let's stay in this vein, because you brought up Godwin.
Sure.
Godwin is back this week. Now, normally we would save this for the next section where we're talking about the injury report, but it is kind of news because he is a huge piece of our offense, and we've been missing him for the last couple of weeks. Not just Godwin, but really the entire offense is back and fully healthy, with the exception of OJ, who's on IR for the year.
Right.
Like everybody's back. Gronk, like Watson's back. Everybody's back. But specifically with Godwin, Ren, talk to us about what having Godwin back in the lineup and back in the offense means, not just necessarily what it means for Mike, but what it really means for this offense going forward, especially as we're facing an undefeated Packers team, a team that has a pretty good defense. Don't they? I mean, I don't watch the Packers a lot to be able to say that, but they have a pretty good secondary, right?
I've been trying to find out. I mean, they've got a corner who's like ranked really high on PFF, might be number 1. But then they give up a lot of yards. And then sort of these new stats. I was watching Ledger talk about it from Pewter Report. And like they're like last or second to last, and like Dova, whatever the hell that means. I'm sure people do. Like, I don't know what it means. So, but they did get their big nose. They got their Vita Vea back this week.
Right.
So, that's going to help them. And they had sort of these two come out of nowhere pass rushers last year that both got over 10 sacks, but they just haven't sort of put it together yet this year, sack wise for the Packers. So, I don't know how good they are, because it's sort of hard to judge a team when the offense is averaging like 30 points a game.
Right.
And the other team just has to throw all the time. So you can't really, it's hard to decide. It's hard to see. But, I mean, I don't think they're a top 5 defense, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're not a top 10. But bringing Godwin back is you saw the one time when Brady went to Tyler Johnson, and like he put his head down and rolled off 2 guys and, got it down inside the 10-yard line. I think that was the only touchdown they ended up getting that game. And then because that's what Godwin does. I talked about how Mike looks like a fish trying to ride a unicycle when he's got the ball in space and he's trying to run. Like, he's not trying to pick up as many yards as he can. He's trying to run to the biggest open space. And then when it goes away, he's trying to he's trying to take the tackle on, but then land without getting hurt. You know what I mean? He doesn't put his head down and lunge for the 2 yards. He the guy's coming at him, he kind of like backs away or tries to jump his feet out of the way and just kind of falls on top of the guy. He's not a natural runner. And Tyler Johnson and Chris Godwin are. And well, it's a little early for Tyler Godwin, but Chris Godwin is, and him playing the slot's really going to, help to open up the field that we've been talking about. Think about this. Chris Godwin has played a total of 1 complete game all year.
Right.
1.
Right.
And the latter half of that game, he was concussed because on Tuesday, he ended up going into concussion protocol. And he missed a couple of games, and he came back, and then he pulled his hammy, and now he's missed another game. So, or 2 more games. So like he's the missing piece that I feel Buc fans really want to see. And if he gets out there, it'd be nice to have it this game, but it even might take a couple more weeks to sort of see this Mike Evans, Chris Godwin machine go that we expected to do, because he's also a huge part in the run game with his blocking.
Yeah.
And it's we've rushed for 100 yards the past 2 weeks, but it's been a struggle. Also, that Chicago game was just hard to find people open and find the middle of the field and sort of abuse their linebackers like they should have. And without OJ and now Godwin, it was just it's been rough. But yes, he's back.
Well, but and with that, because I think the biggest thing that jumps out to me, as it should all Bucs fans, we are back to that offense where we're now saying, okay, who are you going to cover? What are you going to do? There's so many weapons. There's so many targets on the field. There's so many places to go. Rojo is coming on. I want to talk about Rojo before we move on to the actual injury report. But Rojo's coming on and having a great set of games. and looks to continue that. We got Godwin coming back. We've got Gronkowski coming back. He wasn't really gone, but he's coming in. McCoy's back. Fournette's back. Hopefully, we actually don't even see a whole lot of those two guys. Watson's back, like we said. All these guys that we were like, man, this is just going to be a killer offense. They're back.
Yeah. And Godwin's the biggest piece.
Right. So that's looking good. That's a positive for the Bucs for this game. For where we go. All right. Well, I talked about Rojo for just a second, so let's do this. Eddie Encina over at Tampa Bay Times had a really great article, and I hope you guys all go read it, about Rojo, saying he's becoming one of the best tackle breaking running backs in the league.
Right.
And Arians also commented, this is quoted in that article, that said that Rojo would continue to get a bigger piece of the pie even when Fournette and McCoy returns. And I wouldn't say he would. He said he might continue to get a bigger piece of the pie when Fournette and McCoy return. So less running back by committee, more feeding Rojo, who's got the hot hand, which I think we're all for. Despite what I said earlier this year, Rojo's turning on.
What did you say earlier this year?
Do what?
What did you say earlier this year?
I said when they signed Leonard Fournette that he was going to come in and take over for Rojo because Rojo wasn't turning it on.
Oh, that's right. You
That's
did.
exactly what I said. And you were like, no, you're stupid. No, you're dumb. And you know
I
what?
didn't say that. I mean, I'm saying it now, but I didn't say it then.
You're stupid. But
Yeah, I forgot all about that. Not that I brought it up in pre-show.
He forgot all about that. Yeah.
If Leonard Fournette would have taken his job, I definitely would have forgot all about it.
Yo, so if Leonard Fournette would have done what I said, yeah, exactly.
You would have to bring it up.
Right.
Yes.
But I will say this, and I said this to you privately, and I will say it now because I'm going to say it recorded, Ran, out there for everybody. Which
apparently that makes a difference.
That's a big man now, right? I am glad to eat those words.
Sure.
If I mean, because this is what we wanted out of Rojo. We wanted it to be Rojo. We wanted that, for that hope. And if Rojo continues in doing what he's done these last couple of weeks, combined with the addition of adding Chris Godwin back in and getting our wide receiver group going, and Rob Gronkowski has had a well-reported slow start to the season, but he has started to come on, even with the absence of OJ Howard. Man, I'm excited for this game on offense this week.
Yeah, I just wish I knew a little bit more about the Packers' run defense, to be honest. We talked about this, or at least I did after the game. Oh no, you were with me last week, weren't you? Okay. This is the first chance that Rojo's had to carry the load all by himself. Obviously, he didn't do his rookie year. Last year, he split, with Peyton Barber, with getting less carries the first half of the year, more carries the second half of the year, but still sharing, and then starting off this year sharing with Fournette and McCoy.
And to back up your point, Ren, like so many times last year, I would look up and go, okay, Rojo's doing, and you let me go, why is Peyton in the game?
Yeah.
Why is Barber in the game? Rojo was doing fine.
Yeah.
Why? And yeah.
Because he's 22 and he's tired. No, it's not it at all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's the first time he's kind of got the chance to shoulder a whole game load, because they were forced to, and he has back-to-back 100-yard runs. So, I'm sure everyone's excited about it. I'm not necessarily thinking that this might be a third one because they have a game plan. And if the game plan isn't give the ball Rojo 20 times, the game plan is, hey, we're going to attack the edges with Fournette and McCoy through the pass. Then Rojo's not going to get, his carries to get up near 100 yards, unless he breaks off something like a 65-yard or 70-yard or something like that. So it's exciting because we spent a second-round pick on the guy, and as a running back, usually they come right in and light the league on fire, and it's taken him a very long time. But that was something that a lot of naysayers said about Rojo, going back to the Edward Arcino article about breaking tackles, was something he didn't do. And this year he's really started to run with power, run with vision. I've seen he's got it's not even a jump step. It's more like a put the foot in the ground cut, and even almost a stop, a complete stop where you can go from full speed to stop. And I've watched guys fly by him, barely get a hand on him in the hole and in the open field. Some of those moves that he puts on people right at the second level have been really, really nice.
Mhm.
And my favorite thing about it is why I love Chris Godwin. He makes you tackle him.
Right.
He makes you tackle him. He's going to fight you for every square inch of grass.
Mhm.
And it's just that.
Let up, he'll take more grass.
Yeah. And, that's the difference between, 1st and 4 and 1st and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Or excuse me, 2nd and 4 and 2nd and 6.
Right.
But, if it's 2nd and 6 and you throw a 5-yard pass, now it's 3rd and 1. And you're like, okay, well, maybe not. If you do the 5-yard pass at 2nd and 4, then it's a first down. And that stuff starts to add up. And if, I know it's kind of boring, but I like sort of watch those type of things.
Right.
And I've seen it for years in me watching the NFL where people didn't give the extra effort, and that 1, 2, 3, 4, even 5 yards that they could have got, they left out earlier. Oh, I got the first down, let's run out of bounds. Well, you ended up being like 4 yards short from a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
But you could have had it if you would have, put your foot in the ground and at least dove. So
right.
that's the thing that I like about the way Rojo is running now is he makes you tackle him.
Yeah. Rojo is going to be a huge piece coming back in here, and I'm certainly very excited to see him back, and not just see him back, but see what this offense is going to be really this week. And it's about as healthy as this team has been since week 1, maybe even a little bit healthier since week 1 than week 1. With that, speaking of health, why don't we move on? Let's talk about the injury report for this game coming up. We'll start with the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers have one person who is out, Tyler Ervin, who is basically he's their return guy.
Yeah.
That's it. So he's not going to be standing in the end zone waving his arms back and forth.
Yeah. So they've had a whole week off and they're completely healthy. Hooray.
Yeah. That's
I was a little upset about that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. We get like a mini bye going into the Packers game. Cool. A little advantage. And then it's like, what? The Packers have a bye?
Yeah. They got
it's
a full bye?
Yeah. It's like, come on, man.
Right.
So when we get a full bye, what are we going to get? Like, someone coming off 2 weeks of a Corona?
Right.
We've been prepping for the Bucs since October.
Yeah. And with that, I mean, the big name that most Packers fans are talking about that's being back this week is Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
So he will be back. They also, I think, said they got their nose tackle back this week as well.
Kenny Clark. Yeah.
Yeah. So those guys, it's a healthy Buccaneers team facing a healthy Packers team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. It makes me a little bit nervous.
It's gonna be a good game. Well, hopefully it's gonna be a good game.
Be a good game, yeah. Right.
Yeah, but no one's blown this defense out,
Right.
since they turned the corner. No one has, what did San Diego put the most points on them, but one of them was a pick six. So they really only give up 24. If I give up 24 points to the Packers, I expect to be in it with the ball at some point late in the fourth to be able to take the lead, or extend the lead.
Right.
So, yeah, it's gonna be a good game.
Yeah. Well, let's move over and talk about our team. Let's talk about the good guys and not the bad guys.
Sure.
We have nobody who is listed as out for this game.
Nice.
We have 3 people who are listed as questionable: Carlton Davis, Khalil Davis, and Leonard Fournette. Those guys are all listed as questionable. I will remind people, questionable means they most likely will play.
Yeah.
So that is good news for us. I do want to talk about the Khalil Davis injury. It is noteworthy just because of the Vita Vea injury. And as Bucs are short at the interior defensive line position, losing a guy like Khalil Davis, who is he was our last draft pick, I think, this year. So not exactly a guy we would expect a ton of production out of, but he's still a guy that you're a depth piece, and we need the depth.
We needed him. Yeah, we needed him because he's been inactive all year.
Right.
And I've talked about how he's sort of the gap shooter, wins off, getting slapping offensive guards' hands away, explosive off the ball, unlike, Sue or Vea or Golson. Those guys are gonna, out-muscle you and take on double teams and
Right.
and go through you more than around you to get to the quarterback on a passing play. And Khalil Davis is the exact opposite. But I expect him to only play in obvious passing situations, and I expect Nacho to take up the slack on the rest of it. So yeah, he hurt his ankle, and then he was limited, and then he came back. So we'll see. We'll see if he plays, but I don't think that's going to be if he doesn't go, that's not nearly going to be as big of a hit as it would have been if it was Nacho that couldn't go.
Fair enough. Leonard Fournette is still listed as questionable, but I'm okay if he doesn't really play. Although we do know that BA does like to save him for that fourth quarter coming in fresh, which we saw work really well. And, to be fair, when Leonard Fournette gets the ball in the end, we have won those games so far. So,
Brojo ran run out too. That was also very disappointing in Chicago.
So much.
2:14 left, and we could have just because the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, they'd ran the ball out. Like, hey, we got the ball. We're not going to let you have it back.
Yeah. The biggest name on here though is the Carlton Davis one.
Yeah,
and I think that's probably the one that is the most impactful. So Ren, I'll put it to you this way, although he is still most likely he will play. Yeah. Hopefully this is an abdomen injury, which I don't know what that means. I don't know exactly what happened to him. That's not a common body part that you see on the injury report is abdomen. No. But if he can't go, talk to us about what that means for the Buccaneers secondary.
Oh God, what does that mean for the Buccaneers secondary? That means SMB and Jamel Dean on the outside. They probably won't travel with Adams. Mm-hmm. So the Packers will be able to put him in the best situation, move him around and get him in better situations at key moments of the game when they need a big play from him. Mm-hmm.
Bring Winfield down into the
I will bring Winfield down into the slot. But yeah, I'm gonna say it's a big blow, as in like, okay, game's over type of deal. Mm-hmm. But because Jamel Dean just continues to surprise me game after game after game after game. Right. But having Carlton Davis there, and now that we've seen him shut these guys down when he plays man on man, like week after week after week after week, I would feel a lot better. Where Davis could erase Adams, and I don't mean erase him as in like 2 catches, 17 yards, but not a 7-catch game for 150. If he gets a 7-catch game for 55 and a touchdown, okay, that's fine. Just not one of those ones that you get in fantasy. Fantasy football, like 8 catches, 125 yards, and 2 TDs. Like that's the type of game that Adams can have, and with a quarterback like Rodgers, it's almost expected. So Davis would go a long way to helping that not happen.
Yeah. That I think is my biggest. No, that would be my second biggest concern on defense this week. The biggest concern obviously is that defensive line, the interior defensive line there. But yeah, Carlton Davis has been such a good player for us so far this year. You talk about a guy who has really grown into the role. Yep. Right. Don't judge him by his rookie year. Judge him by what he becomes towards the end. And man, I hope he goes. He most likely will, but I hope he goes. So that said, Ren, it's time for us to round out the corner of this show. Tell me, what are you looking forward to in this upcoming game against the Green Bay Packers?
I don't know. Here's what I'm hoping I don't see. I hope they come out and don't necessarily put a huge emphasis on the run. I've liked the balance of the play calling since the Saints game. I thought they put way too much emphasis. Like, we're going to establish the run no matter what. And it kind of put them in a lot of 3rd and longs. What am I going to see? I think
or what are you looking like? What are you watching? Not like, yeah, like what are you intentionally putting your eye on as you're watching this game?
Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
I want to see Chris Godwin, and I want to see if this offensive line can have a bounce back game. I'm not really worried about Rojo because if he starts to falter or, has like 5 carries for 14 yards, well, here goes, Fournette will come in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like to see him stay ahead of the sticks. Of course, penalties and defensive wise, I'm assuming Carlton Davis is there. Green Bay is leading the league in rushing yards per game. And they're running the ball really well out of the spread. So obviously I'll be looking at the interior defensive line. All eyes will be on Nacho on early downs to see what he can do. I'm not expecting anything on Khalil Davis if he goes, but I'm going to watch him just be able to see, hey, here's a new toy we haven't looked at yet. Right. Be able to see what he can do. I expect the Buccaneers to stuff the run, maybe not nearly as well as they have. I think, God, it's like under 60 yards a game, something like 58, which would break the record, by the way, for the 100 years the NFL's been in existence. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no penalties. See if the offensive line bounce back. And I think Chris Godwin's going to remind people like, oh, okay, this is like, we need this guy to make this thing go the way we imagine it in our heads. And then with defense, there's a lot on Nacho's plate. And if Nacho can, at least be where it's not a noticeable drop off in the run game from Vita Vea, then I think it's going to be a real fun game to watch because Aaron Rodgers is not going to throw a pick. Like the offense hasn't turned the ball over at all year. Right. None. 0. Green Bay has 0 turnovers offensively. So it'll be a nice chess game, to see. And I want to see Devin White and Levante David flying around and Aaron Rodgers is very expressive in the face. So, I like to see him be like frustrated and give the big eyes and be like, oh man, like when Brady looked at Donovan Smith when he got sacked by Khalil Mack. I would like to see that face from Aaron Rodgers a few times.
Yes. One of the things we didn't bring up in headlines, and we don't have to discuss it, but I'll just say it. I liked BA's response to Tom Brady yelling at the offensive line. Like, you can yell at him all he wants. He's fine. Yell away. Hey, real quick before I give the things I'm looking for, to those of you who are watching live with us, go ahead and in the chat room, drop your predictive MVPs. We're going to get to those in just a minute, and I'll shout those out here at the end of the show. Things I'm looking forward to. Like you said, Chris Godwin. And I'm specifically, I just want to watch Chris Godwin because he's so fun to watch. But I want to see what this is going to do for the rest of the offense. Ledyard had a great thread on Twitter earlier today where he talked about how Godwin is the one who keeps the Buccaneers offense on schedule. And you guys should go check out his thread because he explains it way better. And I'm not even going to attempt to explain what that means. But it was really good.
It's like a train, Brent. Like a train, like it has to leave at a certain time and arrive at a certain time.
Right.
It's a schedule.
He's blowing the whistle, all aboard, all that.
Yeah. It's like it's a schedule, like when you're in school.
Right. Like you, I'm watching the defensive line, sans Vita Vea. And then I will also be watching Donovan Smith. And here's why.
Giving up.
He's the new kicker for me. We have been conditioned at this point, Ren, as Buccaneer fans, to expect a crappy performance from the left tackle position. Mm. And just like it's been with the kicker, you go, I've got to watch and see if he makes it because he might not. I've got to see because I can't trust him on it. And until he becomes somebody who is, or they replace him. And honestly, I think it's when they replace him. He's a guy that is he going to meet my expectations of screwing up? Because I fully expect him to screw up and I hope he doesn't, but I expect it out of him. And I've been trained, so I will be watching Donovan Smith like a hawk this game.
Yeah, it's not like, it's 3rd and 7. And it's like, where's their pass rusher? It's 3rd and 7. Okay, I'm watching Donovan Smith. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not even watching the play develop. I'm just can Donovan hold him for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
2 seconds.
Right. Oh, look, Donovan's on his knees again. Or, it just, oh my gosh. And then the other thing that I'm watching, and I can't help it, Ren. This is just the football guy in me.
Sure.
I'm the fan in the stands.
That's right. You'll be there.
I will be there this particular week. Beer swilling guy. I'm watching Brady versus Rodgers. It's future Hall of Fame quarterbacks, first ballot Hall of Fames. Both of them are going to be, and I'm watching that show that phase off because we haven't gotten to see it a ton over the years.
2 times, I think. 3 times.
This is only their 4th game in all of their years playing in the league at the same time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. So, I'm certainly interested to watch that and see. So, all right, Ren. Well, let's go ahead and roll in. We'll close out the show. Predictive MVPs. Who do you predict will be? Let me go ahead. I'll give you a chance. Let me go ahead and read some of the ones that are in the comments, and we'll start out with you because we'll do it that way. Daniel says that Rojo is going to be the MVP this week. Bucs Podcast says Winfield Jr. is going to get his first interception. C-Dub says the Bucs secondary is going to be his MVP. I don't know. Does that count? Can you count the entire secondary as the MVP? MVP Devin White, Florida Gator, says that. Ren is going to be the MVP.
No, he's asking me. He asked me a question a long time ago, and he said he would wait. And he's been very patient, so I'm gonna answer it for him. And if you've been paying attention, you've already know the answer. It says Ren, what's more realistic? Suck up with game winner or pick 6 for the Bucs? Don't worry, I'll wait. It's suck up because I said, and I didn't say it when you wrote it, but Aaron Rodgers didn't throw an interception. They haven't fumbled the ball and lost one. Like they have 0 turnovers. So it's if you're making some type of bet, it's suck up because I'm not saying that the pick 6 is never gonna happen, but if you're thinking probabilities, it's gotta be suck up.
Right. Florida Gator comes in on offense. I didn't ask for offense, defense, or special teams, but he gave it to us anyway. He says offensive MVP is Brady. Nacho says Nacho will be fine. Special teams is Pinion. Woohoo! Let's hear it for the kicker, the punter. Let's hear it. Coach MVP is wow. Florida Gator is giving us Hey, Florida Gator, you're going to give us the MVP of the training staff and the water boys, and I'd also like to know the office janitorial staff there at $1. If you let us know who you think those will be this year as well.
Brenda.
Pixels on the defense, they say. Levon says Rojo will break out this game, maybe even a 60-yard touchdown run. Ho! And Jamar Young says the offensive line will be the predictive MVP. Ren, I will put it to you now. Your turn. Who do you predict as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers MVP for this game?
Godwin.
Well, Ren, I hate it when we are in total agreement on things.
Okay, well,
especially on these sorts of things, because I always want to discuss the different things, but I got to say Chris Godwin. I don't think it's got to be Chris Godwin. And I think what we will feel mostly this game is how much we have missed him from the previous weeks. So I'm definitely very excited for that.
All right, I'll change mine.
It's okay. You don't have to.
Well, you should have changed yours because like I said, that's how that works.
Do you want to know, like a little stupid idiosyncrasy about me?
Sure.
You probably know this. We've been out to eat it together enough. If I go out to eat with somebody and they order first whatever I was going to order on the menu, I always have to change it. I can't order what somebody else at the table has ordered. Drives my wife crazy.
Okay. Do you always have another backup?
Usually, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's fine then. What does it matter? Yeah. And how does she even know?
Because she looks at me and she knows my face. Because she'll order, I'm like,
oh, so you get all upset. You like slam the menu down.
Right. Ren, you have been with me for 5 years now.
Yeah.
Does anything about me hide what is going on internally inside?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Not at all. No.
Right.
No. Especially when you're ready to put on a show.
Yeah.
You like to do it when you're eating too. Brent is if you're having a dinner party, Brent's a good person to bring a dinner party. He likes the spotlight to shine on him during dinner for some reason, or eating lunch, whatever it is. I don't know. Just the past few times that we have when we're together, like everything's sort of normal, whatever our normal is.
Yeah.
But when like we sit down, when we sit down, it's like all of a sudden like it's like you're on. Like I don't. I'll point it out next time.
Yeah, it's chow time. I don't know. I don't see what the problem is. It's
like you start talking to everybody and you start telling jokes and you start telling stories and it's like, like, hey everybody, I'm here to entertain you. I'm Brent Allen.
oh, you're having dinner. Ren, I did that for 7 years. That was my job.
Oh, really?
It was
Dinner theater?
entertainment. That was what I did.
Wow.
Anyway,
Maybe it's just trained into you. You can't help it. You don't even realize you're doing it.
that's what I'm saying. Listen, it just comes natural. Hey, Ren, that's going to be the end of our show.
Oh,
I know all good things must come to an end, but this has been our Buc in the News show. I want to say thanks to everybody who has joined us out there, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, PewterCast.live. I feel like I missed one. Oh, YouTube. YouTube. Please like, subscribe to us so you guys make sure you never miss a show. Also, you really want to make sure you click that bell icon because one of the things that we have going on at this show, the original, and I mean the original post-game call-in show by the fans for the fans is back this week, provided we get all the technology working because I'll be at the game and we've got to get that. But anyway, it will be back. So you guys make sure you click that bell icon so you can be notified as soon as we go live. You guys can jump in. You can call. You can join the video chat with Ren and I right here at on the live stream, or you chat it up in the chat room, which exploded after last week's game, which was so much fun. Ren, in the meantime, why don't you tell the folks where they can get in touch with you out there on the internet?
Best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football, but if your take's too hot or you just don't want to put it out there in the Twitter sphere, feel free to slide in my DMs and we'll talk Buccaneers football or anything else right there as well too.
And if you guys want to get in touch with me, you can find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. And the show is at the PewterCast on Twitter and on Facebook. You can find us at PewterCast.com. And you can find us on the web at thepewtercast.live. And a quick shout out to our friend Dan, who says he is proud to boast that he's listened to every episode of the PewterCast since episode number 2. Although he also says, I did go back and listen to number 1.
So he's saying like he found you episode 2 and has been listening ever since.
To every single to. You want to know how many it is now, Ren?
404.
Yes. It's 400 and single digit. Yeah. Yeah, that's where we are. I just saw it the other day. And so we have certainly passed that number.
PR.
That's hardcore, brother. That's hardcore.
That's PCPR, PewterCast pre-Ren.
Yes, that is. Yeah. Back when the show was good. Oh.
Hi-oh.
Let's hear. What did you do? All that. That's the show. Guys, subscribe us over on YouTube, and we'll talk to you guys after the game on Sunday. And until next time, guys, that'll do it for us. Go Bucs.
Dude, we even remember where that's from.